What's happening, man? It's your boy Papa Duck. Like, comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Please hit the notification so you're notified every time I drop a video. Most importantly, look down below. You will see sweaters. We got shirts, we got hats, we got onesies for kids. Anything y'all buy off our merch store does go back into the channel to spread the message. Now, this video I'm about to show y'all is going to show y'all there's a lot of embedded things in the construct of this Constitution that we don't know nothing about. And that is by design. More importantly, I want y'all to pay close attention and understand that this was a setup from the get up. Check this out.
Is that are blacks in the predicament that we're in, and have we been in this predicament for 400 years because what's been told us, first of all, that it was by divine decree, or that it was genetically inherited, or was it really social engineering? And I went back and found out that it's primarily social engineering. And what's happened to us all this time, Daryl, is that we've got locked into the lowest status of a no-win monopoly game. That means that we've had wealth in this country redistributed or mal-distributed based on skin color going from the lightest to the darkest, lightest, yellow, brown, black. And the wealth has been skewed. So what happens in this country now is you got the white society controlling almost 100% of all the income, the wealth, the resources, the business, the corporations, the privileges, and all levels of government.
And therein lies the problem.
That's your problem.
Blacks.
And the issue is race and resources. And black folk don't have the wherewithal to change their conditions.
The legal system has been stacked against us. The political system has been stacked against us. The access to real property, wealth, money, land has been prohibited by law.
That's
the
right.
Supreme Court has been used as an instrument against us.
And it's still being used as an instrument against you.
Explain that.
By 1638, something very profound happened, Daryl, that every black person in this country needs to understand. Something very, very profound. What happened in 1638? The Maryland colony put out its first public edict. And what that edict said is that black folks shall never enjoy the fruits of white society. That is very key to what's been happening to you for 400 years. And once that was codified in 1705, everybody understood the law. Then by 1710, for instance, Virginia then said now that we have a unified white community, they then broke up the black community by passing what they call meritorious manumission in 1710. And what that says now is to make sure that blacks never have a strong sense of community, a unified self, we will grant meritorious manumission. That's why all these southern states had meritorious manumission laws to any black who goes against his own people.
Which in effect said that blacks could be freed.
That's right.
To enjoy rights and privileges in the society for becoming traitors to their own race.
Right, as a free black. But it would never could be comparable to a white.
Right.
So when that law was passed, then we found that a black could be rewarded for squealing another black, what we call crabbing. And out of a possible 150 so-called insurrections or revolts, slave revolts, a black person squealed in every one of them. Okay? And he was rewarded for squealing on blacks. That's where you get the crabbing in the black society.
Which is why there was virtually never a successful black
That's
revolt.
Right. But see, and that kind of a system was never used against any other group in this country. No other group, Chinese, Hispanics, or any other group.
Well, you make a strong case in the text for the singular selection, the purposeful separating out of people of the black race for this kind of treatment on this continent.
To make sure there was never a strong sense of community, because the strong sense of community was a threat to the white society. I remember that public policy said you should be non-competitive. And as a matter of fact, the only monument right now in this country that I'm aware of that even recognize and honor the black for being that kind of a black is still in existence up in Harper's Ferry. You know where John Brown had his raid that night?
Sure.
If you ever go up there right outside the hotel, there's a big brown box there. And there's a big monument carving to the black slave who jumped off the porch the night John Brown's troops entered the town, and John Brown killed him. The town erected a monument to the Sambo, saying this is the kind of black we like.
Going from the historical codifying of suppression of blacks to the point where we had a civil rights movement in this country. The first civil rights movement is not the one that gets talked about very often. In the book, you talk about the first time blacks were freed, and you talk about how that freedom was really an illusion. What do you mean by that? Why weren't blacks free after they were emancipated following the Civil War?
Because first of all, what they gave blacks was three things. First of all, they set him free. And secondly, they gave him supposedly due process and a right to vote. And but those things had no power attached to them. Blacks could not protect themselves with that. Because, see, everything in the society was based on your ability to be able to take care of yourself. And so blacks were set free at that time, naked, penniless, ignorant, defenseless, without clothing, animals, livestock, land. And so they were abandoned. And you gave him civil rights and the 14th Amendment. He couldn't use them. See, first of all, let's take the 14th Amendment, which is now the ones we hear a lot about. Between 1866 and let's say the 1900s, that 14th Amendment was used 319 times, okay? Out of that, 314 times was by corporations, not blacks. Blacks used it about 4 to 5 times, and guess what happened? They lost every time. Blacks never used the 14th Amendment until 1954. But all major corporations use it. That's when you hear about corporations now being an entity, a person. Or a person. They used that 14th Amendment that was given to blacks, they gave it to the corporations. And what they did, and immediately in 1870, they took blacks' rights from them, okay? Because they didn't have any power.
So once again, the rights were basically suppressed.
They were just suppressed.
That which had been written into law was now effectively thrown out.
Because blacks couldn't protect themselves. They had no power. And also what had happened at that point in time is that between 1619, when blacks first came in the country, and until the emancipation, all the wealth in this country and all the power was built around the black slave himself. That's where your money and power came from. Contrary to what people keep talking about, well, you know, land is most important. Land was never important. Land, Darryl, was totally useless without blacks. As a matter of fact, President Jackson said that blacks brought 75% of the value to land. You can come in this country and immigrant, go any place you want to find all the land free. You can just drive a stake in the ground and say, I own from here to that next street. Nobody cared. It had no value. It only had value when you put black slaves on it. And that's why all the wealth was concentrated in the South. As a matter of fact, in 1860, out of 66% of all the persons in this country had over $100,000 worth. We're in the South. As a matter of fact, and out of the 5 million blacks who were enslaved, they had a net investment value of over $8 billion. That $8 billion was more wealth than all the other corporations and federal government put together. As a white man in the South who had 2 black slaves was richer than any person in the North. If you threw the average person in the North, I threw in his house, his business, his land, his clothes, his net worth, and his bank account.
Well, primarily because it was free labor.
It was free labor. It was free labor.
You worked them until they died.
That's right. And the thing with a black is you had to work him unto death, but you could not let him grow old. Because you had no way of taking care of him.
Economic liability.
That's right. He became a liability. You had to work him to death early.
As you can see, hopefully y'all pay close attention to that video. That is for educational purposes only. And like I say, the rabbit hole go deeper than that. So with that being said, man, hopefully y'all learn something and that y'all can see this whole construct has a lot of embedded information that they're just not gonna teach us in school. You will not learn that in school. You will not learn that nowhere in no governmental institution, because they don't want you to know that. So with that being said, hopefully y'all learn something. You feel me? And like I say, most people just want to be, we just want to be people, man. We just want to live. We don't want to have to, we want to see our kids grow. You know what I'm saying? We want to live life. We want to be robbed of our life. Like, honestly, man. Come on now. Anyway, man, y'all like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy Papa Dope. Y'all know I love y'all. I'm out.
Hold on. Come on. What the business is? What the lick read? You know, homeboy, what they call me? Hold on. Come on. What the business is? What the lick read?